So it's kind of my pleasure to say, you know, as hard as people tried to get rid of MLK Day, we're still here celebrating. Yes, we are. And it's honoring the man who led the movement that helped the passage of the landmark Civil Rights Act. But in a recent interview with the New York Times, you know who claims that there's a downside to the Civil Rights Act. He says, and I quote, "White people were very badly treated." Where they did extremely well. And they were not invited to go into a university or a college. And under his administration, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission says there could be reparations for this discrimination.
He got jokes.
Take a look at this clip.
Are you a white male who's experienced discrimination at work based on your race or sex? You may have a claim to recover money under federal civil rights laws. The EEOC is the federal agency charged with enforcing federal anti-discrimination law against businesses and other private sector employers. The EEOC is committed to identifying, attacking, and eliminating all forms of race and sex discrimination, including against white male applicants and employees.
So this is my question. When did it all go downhill for white guys? I mean, okay, so like, I know that in 1955, when I was born, black folks didn't have the full vote in the United States.
Yeah.
Black folks couldn't really go to colleges without a big old hassle. So what was the problem then? I remember when women tried to get into these colleges. I remember when women had to fight to have the jobs that broke the glass ceilings. These were women, okay, just women. And now you want me to cry for the white guys who have always had, it seemed, many more advantages. They could go and get a bank loan.
Yeah.
My mom couldn't do that.
Yeah.
They could own a credit card.
They could own a credit card by themselves.
Yeah.
Well, you
My
know,
mom, go
They
ahead.
could file for bankruptcy, right?
Yeah, they could, yeah.
Several times.
Yeah.
Listen, I think several times.
Yeah.
I think, you know, equality feels much like oppression when you have always had the privilege of being ahead, even if you were mediocre. And I think that's what we're talking about here. White men, as of 2023, were 76% of the workforce, and in all sort of top positions where people of color and women were not. And so what we're learning, I think, from this interview is that this administration kept on talking about a meritocracy and that things should be merit-based, and they felt that it never was. Now we really know that this attack against diversity, equity, inclusion is based on white male grievance, and the fact that Donald Trump seems to really believe in the concept of reverse discrimination. And the NAACP made it very clear after hearing his comments that, in fact, there is absolutely no evidence, no fact-based evidence that white men have suffered because of the Civil Rights Act.
I think he might be confusing policies like affirmative action with the civil rights movement. Because when you look at the civil rights movement, you're talking about ending segregation, you're talking about voting rights, you're talking about owning things. Like, anyone that is personally offended by the civil rights movement might be a racist, because that was a huge pivotal point in the history of this country.
But Sarah, it was also access to education.
All the I could
So
I could
affirmative
spend the whole
action is
show
part of
telling you
that
all the
as well.
things you get, but I'm saying there can be debates on other things, but the civil rights movement itself was. Again, if you have a problem with the civil rights movement, you're
telling on
the
yourself.
problem. Like, that is bad. Yeah.
Well, and for me, I think that this is very likely trying to appeal to what oftentimes may feel like a big majority of the country, but is actually a very vocal minority. There's groups like the Groypers, who are self-identified white nationalists. They're young men. They're disillusioned. They helped propel Donald Trump to victory. A lot of Republican politicians feel right now like they have to cater to them. Like they're not going to be able to win in the future if they don't cater to the needs of these men. But what they're missing,
Are they young white men?
It's mostly young white men. Not entirely, but mostly. What they're missing is, that is a tiny minority of the country. This country is moving to being multiracial, just generally speaking, at a very vast pace. So, like, demographics is destiny. We're going away from that. But also, at the end of the day, there was this interesting, and not saying all this represents Groypers, there was this interesting study that I highlighted saying that 22% of young men say that Trump is fighting for them after he was elected. 27% say Trump hasn't delivered for them.
Are they billionaires?
So a lot of these, no, are saying he hasn't delivered for them.
Okay.
So while he may think, this is how I'm going to cater to these, at the end of the day, what the broadest swath of Americans want is a chance. They want a fighting chance. They want economic security. And they want safety in their communities. You don't need to cater to the racist, or you shouldn't need to cater to the racist to get ahead.
Somebody who has sent out ICE agents to target and profile people because of the way they speak, the way they look, the color of their skin, and the jobs they hold is a racist.
Correct.
Somebody who talks about Mexicans the way that he talks, somebody that talks about Latin American countries the way he talks, somebody who went after the Central Park Five, now the Liberated Five, and never has even apologized and was called is a racist.